What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Suncoast On Point. Man who calls it right down the middle because, well, that's what it's needed to be. I am your host, the man, the myth, the legend, the master blaster, Mr. J to the C. But you can simply call me Johnny. I'm fresh off my suspension. Got suspended for a month. Was a bad kid. I understand. It happens. Let this be a lesson to myself. It's not a good idea ever to get into a debate and think that the FCC will not come after somebody like me. Of course they will. It sucks, but it is necessary. But we are here bringing you all the news on a national and on a local level. So, without further ado, so much to get into. We are going to start with what's going on today. Why are all the protests? We're going to roll clip one. Let's go.
This is unbelievable. Anti-Israeli protesters find the Hezbollah flag in front of the New York Stock Exchange. Yes, the terroristic flag located in Lebanon. They're chanting also "Death to America" in a few languages while marching through the streets of various cities in America.
Unbelievable. Holy crap. Look, I don't know much about much, but I do know this. This Middle Eastern conflict is extremely complex. It is not just as simple as one side's good, the other one's bad. It's just not a thing. We have to be willing to look at things for exactly what it is and not what we think it is. And we have to look at all sides of it. When we refuse to do so, all that happens is what we get now. The Biden administration, unfortunately, has flip-flopped on this issue quite significantly in the sense of when October 7th happened, our beloved President Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken and the Secretary of Defense and all this other stuff, they all came out and they said, we understand that things will happen and retaliation needs to happen. That's long and short basically what it is. I'm dumbing it down for people like me and for the average everyday person because, well, we're not politics. So we got to talk in terms that we all know. Only to have a different response as the time went on, saying that they understand that effective measures need to be taken, but it needs to be done within the confines of how the U.S. sees fit. Understandable. The problem is you're not giving them any guidelines. You're not telling anybody. You're not telling Benjamin Netanyahu, okay, this is what we want. Within X amount of time, we need to see this. We're going to completely ignore the fact that there has been not one, not two, not three, but four different attempts at a ceasefire resolution, only to have the wonderful group known as Hamas walk away from the table. This is something that is just, how do you expect the goal to be met when the U.S. won't tell Israel what to do, what they're expected to do? And we go from that, and when they all throw their hands on up in the air, bam, this past weekend, Iran goes and drones the hell out of them. Wild shit. I don't know what the ending result could be or what it should be. There is a lot that we all don't understand. There's a lot that I don't understand. There's a lot probably you all don't understand. But with the media cycle the way that it is, everybody now seems to be an expert. I don't understand the whole queers for Palestine. Not because I don't think that's not their right, but because if they were in Palestine, they wouldn't be allowed to exist. So that's a weird contention on my part, but who am I to say what somebody can or cannot protest? There is no doubt about it that I believe in my heart that a two-state solution is impossible to achieve so long as Hamas is in power. I do not see that being a thing. I could be wrong. But when it comes to people now in America protesting Free Palestine, and they're chanting things like 86, the U.S., the people that live here, like that doesn't make most people want to hold their arms open with open arms, that's for sure. But this is our administration, because our administration right now is having an issue trying to bridge the gap, because they had a bunch of supporters in Dearborn, Michigan, who were middle of the road, and they're doing that because they wanted to see if President Biden would change his position. To his credit, he has not. He may not have been exactly forthright about what's going on, but he has not flipped. He has stayed the course. The U.S. did help. They did help this past weekend with the rockets and the drones. Nobody should ever take that away from President Biden. But he has to make a decision. Who does he want to influence the voting process? Does he want the people in Dearborn, Michigan, who have absolutely no stake in the game other than anytime people side-eye Gaza, it's a cause for protest? Or would he be better off doing a return to normalcy if he traveled more to the middle? Before I got put on restriction, the reason why Donald Trump is being as good as he is because of two things. He's running Joe Biden's campaign in 2020. President Trump, minus the trial stuff, which we'll get into here in just a moment, he's shutting up. He's not tweeting every 34 seconds. And he's running the type of campaign that got Joe Biden elected in 2020. I don't care if people don't like this next comment or not. I do not care. Donald Trump lost. He lost in 2020. He had the opportunity to prove election interference, bribery, all of this other stuff, hiding votes, washing away votes. He had his opportunity and he couldn't do it. So therefore, I'm sorry, but we got to move on from that. And to the people watching, it should never be a controversial opinion at all. A win is a win, a loss is a loss. You should have chalked up the L. We're not going to sit here and bring up the fact that when he was elected, every political person called the election fake, called it illegitimate. Hillary Clinton did all that. Doesn't matter. My biggest issue with Donald Trump is he has no answers for me right now. And not that he doesn't have any answers, period, but he doesn't have the answers that I want. Case in point, and I'll give you an example. Shout out to my boy Killshot. If he believes the election was stolen, and he believes that it is an illegitimate election, and he is fairly certain that it could happen again, what does he plan to do to stop it? To make it legitimate? He won't answer that question. Why? Why not? If I'm a Republican and I'm thinking of voting for President Trump, and he can't tell me how he plans to help make my vote count, why am I voting for him? And that's not me moving away from my base. That's me being as honest as I possibly can. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. Oh, it's left versus right. I get into it with all these whack jobs on freaking TikTok and all of these other social media platforms because they don't know how to have a discussion. I'm talking to you all like real people. I'm not typing on my computer in real time. I'm telling you all exactly where my head is. I got somebody on my TikTok live, which I'll bring the people watching on all the other platforms in on what's going on. A person named Truth Hurts wrote, they are putting a lot of legislation in each state to stop it. They're trying to get voter IDs with poo. With poo. That's another thing. And we'll touch on that. Requiring IDs and requiring people to be citizens of this country to vote in an election that affects this country should not be controversial whatsoever in the least. It really shouldn't. I don't know about you all, but I can't. I cannot go to Canada and vote in their election cycle. I cannot go down to Mexico and vote in their election cycle. I cannot go anywhere else. I can only vote where I am a citizen at. Those are the rules. I didn't make them. My problem with the mail-in ballot is I believe there's a way they could do it that would take the guesswork out of it. You leave a lot to question. If I am a Democrat right now, I not only want to win, I want to remove any and all doubt. And I will do anything to shut every person up that claims that it is illegitimate this go around. I will do everything in my power. If I'm a Democrat and I'm people in Joe Biden's camp, that's the card I'm pulling. Because I for one, if I were Joe Biden, I would be sick and tired of hearing about illegitimacy of elections for 4 years. Much like Donald Trump was when he was president. Therefore, take the guesswork out and slam it. Make this undeniable, undisputed. Do whatever you have to do. Because I will agree with President Biden on this. You cannot be American only when you're winning. And we saw a lot of people that were calling the election illegitimate. And people, both sides, have been calling it illegitimate since 2016. Those are just cold, hard facts. Moving on, in quite possibly what is the most astounding thing of my lifetime, of your lifetime. Donald Trump going to trial for hush money payments. But the jury selection process is harder than they think. Have a listen.
Money trial against former President Donald Trump is now underway. The process of selecting a jury for this unprecedented case has already proven to be quite a challenge. News 4's Tracy Strahan live for us in Lower Manhattan. And Tracy, no jurors picked yesterday, and now today, more people already have been dismissed.
Now, the process of choosing a jury in the GOP frontrunner's criminal trial now in its second day. This after more than half of the potential 96 jurors summoned by the court yesterday said that they could not be fair or impartial in a case involving Donald Trump.
Woo! God damn. I say this with the utmost respect. What the hell did you think was gonna happen? What did you think? Did you think you guys were just gonna sit around and be able to, pick out jury selection members? Come on, man. Come on, man. In my Joe Biden voice, come on, man. Find me anybody who has not heard of this. Everybody has heard of this. And if everybody has heard of this, and NBC is sitting here telling you that people can't be non-biased. Boy, we got a big-ass problem on our hands right now, don't we? However, this is insane to me. I came across a news article, or not a news article, as a fact. It was a show that's fairly popular on YouTube. It's called Time Radio. And they were talking about this. And they had on, I believe he's a legal member in some way, shape, or form, but he wrote a book called Get Trump. And it's a book about a failed presidency and him not keeping his campaign promises. And this man is going on giving a clinic as to why this hush money case is quite possibly the weakest of all four cases. Now, we don't got enough time to get into all four cases, because that's a lot of shit. But I believe he's not too far off in that retrospect. This looks like a political hit piece from the word go. But we will see.
To pay someone a lot of money to stop them revealing embarrassing material about you.
It's perfectly legal. It's also perfectly permissible for voters to take that and hold it against them. If you have nothing to hide, why are you paying money? That's perfectly okay, but it's not a crime.
Holy shit. I can't believe he actually really said that. Wow. That's a tough one. That's a very tough one, because I had to look it up. I had to look to see if it is in fact a crime. And so I grabbed this directly from Slate, Slate.com, and they believe that it is, because one of the things is, so when is hush money payment legally okay, and when is it not? And the reply to this is, because it's one of those weird column things, I think, and it's saying it's legally okay in a pretty broad swath of situations. It's legally okay if the information being kept confidential is not about a crime, or if it keeps it confidential. Long story short, not to get into the weeds on that one, is they're basically saying it's legal so long as both sides inherent to the contract. Which means the minute Donald Trump didn't pay, we got problems. We got problems, America. Because that's when the shit proverbially hit the fan, and I get it. So because he sat there and he didn't want to pay the sex worker Stormy Daniels, that's what brought this whole nonsense up to par. Pretty amazing stuff when you think about it. But he has more to say. Play this clip. Clip 2.
And one of the problems we have in the United States is the line between what we think is immoral and what is illegal has becoming very blurry, but it's the most important line imaginable. You are entitled to do things that are wrong as long as you don't cross the line into criminality. And this line, as reflected by this case, has virtually disappeared. So if there is a conviction, it's very likely to be reversed on appeal, because there is really no crime here. And if there is a crime, it's a state misdemeanor turned into a felony by an improper use of a federal crime, which the federal government didn't prosecute. Also, the state of New York has no jurisdiction over prosecuting federal crimes.
Now,
Unbelievable. So there you have it. There you see it. That's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting take. I am one of the same of today. Today, people just don't know how to keep their mouth shut. I mean, the reason why Trump's in the nonsense that he's in is because he paid the wrong girl. I'm sorry, it's horrible. But this is where we are at. We are about to embark on a very, very, very important election. I don't know that there is any type of, to go over this. I don't know what the ending result is going to be. It's going to be fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And what we are going to see is, I don't know that any side will take the L. If Biden wins, the Trump people are going to be absolutely livid, and vice versa. They will lose their ever-loving mind right now. The Democrats are already having a hard enough time because there's always something going on. There's always nonsense that's happening. The case in Florida, that seems to be the one with the most teeth in it. Again, we're not going to get into all the logistics this time, but now that I'm back from suspension, we could certainly dive into that, and we could certainly have some fun. I don't know who Kendrick is. Shout out to my boy High C, my esteemed offendee on Sundays at Suncoast On Point. Florida's got the most teeth. Fannie Pack Willis in Georgia can't keep her damn shit straight long enough without getting in trouble. She's actually being threatened with prison time, legal action for lying under perjury. And it's like, oh, a correction, perjury under oath. And I'm like, oof, boy. And the New York cases are weird because Trump got hit with, fraud and a victimless crime because he paid back the loan and a whole other nine. The D.C. case, I will stand 10 toes down on this. No Kendrick Lamar, sir. If they believe he's an insurrectionist, and everybody does, every person has made that claim, if he is an insurrectionist, why have they not charged him with federal crime 8323, which is inciting an insurrection? That is a federal crime. It carries prison time. They have 4 other charges that basically they're trying to loop into the same ordeal. So that's awkward. But every time something goes down, it's absolutely a bleep show, if you will. I look very forward to them finding someone, let alone 12 people, who can keep this on the straight and narrow and who can objectively go with facts over feelings. But Donald Trump is not a popular man in New York. And if you think he is, you are drinking Drano. But that's the sad part. But we will bring you more on this next week as the trial unfolds. Now we switch gears to the local market for all you 941 folk. Can we please, for the love of God, just cut the shit when it comes to the damn school board meetings? Can we just stop? Like, why do people gotta be childish? There's a school board meeting going on right now as we speak. And they're lacing into another board member. It's not Bridget Ziegler this time. This time it's Karen Rose. And they're all trying to give her you can make the difference, Karen. You can be a speaker of the people. You don't have to let politics dictate how you do things. Just a real coming to Jesus moment. I knew Karen Rose when she was at Southside as a speech pathologist. I know Karen Rose. I have not had the privilege of meeting Bridget Ziegler. Love to. But I do know who Karen Rose is, and I will say this. As middle of the road as I can possibly be, both sides are going to have to do better. If you expect real progress in this regards, you're going to have to pick up the pace. You are going to have to start doing something other than sharing clever buzzwords. You're not going to be able to win the support of a lot of people when you're not going off of anything indirectly. You have people who are fiscally conservative saying, oh, the schools, they're trying to groom children. Okay, well, where? If you're telling me that grooming is going on, I need to know where. I don't deny that it is. I'm willing to believe you. But you don't get to just say that and let that be that. Sorry, not good enough. On the same token, those who are fiscally liberal, those who are not as conservative, the opposite side of the aisle. If you were over here saying things like, they're denying human rights, they're denying my child basic human rights. Okay, well, like what? Again, you don't get to make that statement. You have to do a little better than that. You have to get down to brass tacks. Which rights are your children being robbed of? And are the rights being robbed, does those fall within the confines of what is expected at school? The sad reality is, for everybody bringing up stuff like book banning and things of that nature, it's not as much as you think. And people should be very leery about that, because it's not. People make it seem like they are doing hundreds and thousands of books, and books are being taken, and da-da-da-da-da. No. I will give you the stats right now. In Manatee County, for example, we are looking at a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14. 14 books in Manatee County have been reallocated. One of which is My Hero Academia in Sarasota. Ready for this staggering number? Staggering number. 5. 5 books. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm sorry. 4. I'm not in a position to say if a child of any color, gender, creed, whatever, is being robbed of anything. I'm willing to hear it, though. You're going to have to do better than just say that they are. In Sarasota County, 4 books got reallocated. They did not get yanked. These are books that had a higher age appropriate, because all these books are rated, just like movies, and they're rated for certain age groups. They got moved to what I know, and this is coming from my direct source, along with a very creditable source. My direct source is one of the big wigs, one of the higher in charge of the Sarasota County School Sheriff's Department. They used to have people in good places, I suppose. But if this is where we're going, then people have got to stop using broad terminology, because none of it's productive. None of it helps. Nothing you're doing is changing anything. What, you think pounding on your chest is going to get you the outcome you want? You think calling Bridget Ziegler a hypocrite is going to get her to step down? You think calling her a closet lesbian is going to get her to step down? I listened to all the day. I've been listening to this for months. And when it wasn't working on Bridget Ziegler, you moved on to Karen Rose. Fine. I'm willing to bet it's not going to work on her either. That's what I'm willing to bet. Because I have talked to her people. Her people are hard-nosed right-wingers. They are hard-nosed. And even though they don't share my enthusiasm for, you're going to have to start giving me examples, which I think is the only real way to really solve this any way you look at this. Eventually, people are going to have to come to the term that this is just the cool, hot issue right now. That's all it is. It's just a cool, hot issue. And it's usually how it goes sometimes. But we will bring you more on that. If you have something that you are fond of or something that you like and you want me to talk about it, let me know. We'll talk about it. Why not? But we don't do the long-ass shows like everybody else. Why? Because I'm one person. I don't have anybody to bounce off things, things off of. So we do our little 30, 45-minute show, and that's what it is. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's good to be back. I'm happy to be back. My bad if I offended you. You'll be all right, though. Be all right, kiddo. So next week, we will see what type of progress we have made, if any, as we draw one step closer to the election of 2024. I'm your boy, Mr. J to the C, no doubt about it. And this is Suncoast On Point. Later.